Hi, I'm Neelam Pandey, and you're watching The Print. Well, the exit polls have given their verdicts. The BJP, they say, is likely to secure a third consecutive term in Assam. They've also predicted a victory for the ruling alliance in Tamil Nadu and the return of the UDF, ending Pinarajan's 10-year rule. The exit polls have also predicted a victory for NDA alliance in Puducherry. Well, what is interesting is West Bengal, where the poll of polls, they have indicated a close fight between the TMC and the BJP, with a majority of them giving a clear majority to the BJP, where Mamata Banerjee-led TMC faced, its toughest challenge yet from the BJP. But before we start today's discussion, a health warning, which we always highlight: exit polls have often been wrong in the past in their predictions. So please do keep that in mind. Prominent polls, for instance, Access, today's Chanakya, they will also give out their prediction 30th April. Access has pointed out that while in Assam, it has said that BJP is likely to sweep. But for West Bengal, they have said that they will only be able to come out with numbers tomorrow, which is April 30th. My colleagues from across several states have gathered for this discussion. We have Deepika, Aneesa, who covered the Kerala elections for us, Sharan, who traveled across the state, bringing us ground stories from Kerala. We have Moushumi, who I think spent over a month in West Bengal. We also have our political editor, DK Singh. So I would like to begin with you, sir. What do you think these predictions mean? And at the same time, do you think it will hold true as far as the May 4th results are concerned?
Well, to start with, let me say categorically that we should be looking at it we should take it with a pinch of salt. And I would urge our viewers to actually Google, and last year before the Delhi elections, our colleague Apurva Mandani had investigated the background and methodologies of 10 exit pollsters. And actually, if you Google that, it's headline, you write Apurva Mandani, ThePrint. The story was titled "Exit Polls Enter Mystery: A New Business Model Where Politics is Key and Sample Sizes Rarely Matter." So what she found out then, that there were people whose sample size would be 1,000 or 3,000. Some would say that we don't really believe in sample sizes. That's very traditional way of doing things. We believe in reading the sentiments right. Some use even WhatsApp surveys. Some use AI. Some use the opinion poll data and people data to make exit polls predictions. So there are lots of gray areas here when we talk about these exit polls. So let's take it with a pinch of salt. Having said that, it gives us an interesting opportunity to actually look at all the states and how things are happening, to discuss what we saw on the field in these states. Looking at the overall thing, Bengal, again, you see there's no unanimity as such, although majority of them are giving a clear majority to the BJP, but they're very cautious, diffident almost. You see most of the pollsters, they are putting the TMC in the range of 130 to 140 or 135 to 145. And BJP, some are saying 145 to 160, 150 to 160. They are trying to be very conservative. And it's quite likely, that they're not getting the entire thing right. At 12:48 p.m. today, I'm talking about the afternoon, I got from somebody, some pollster sent me his agency's predictions about West Bengal. And very sweeping predictions, in fact, at 12:48 p.m. Now the second phase of polling was still on. It's just started. We are talking about 142 seats where people are going to vote. And if you're sending it right after noon, you are sending with the results, that means you have not taken into account the second phase at all. So again, when we are looking at all these figures given by different exit pollsters, I have a lot of apprehension about how they have collected those figures, because if these figures are coming to the TV studios, say at 6 o'clock, 5:30, and you have already compiled the entire data, you are leaving out a significant chunk of constituencies which went to polls today in West Bengal. About other states, well, that's understandable. But the close finish you see in West Bengal, we'll see. We'll actually wait for other pollsters also. They have done well not to do it now because you have to collect those samples late into the evenings to actually come to a very clear conclusion. So let's hold our horses there. When it comes to Assam, well, it's not actually coming as a surprise, although we never know. I mean, these are all exit polls, but you could sense that the kind of things you saw on the field there. Hemanta Biswa Sharma was a popular leader. His Arunodaya scheme, for instance. So, for instance, I went to Dibrugarh and I was meeting tea tribe workers, tea tribes, and they had got 14,000 rupees into their account just a few weeks before the election. So 4 installments of Arunodaya, that's 1250 rupees per month. So 5,000 together, then 4,000 as Bihu bonus, so 9,000 in your account. And then for tea garden workers, he had given additional 5,000. You look at every state, the same thing. In Tamil Nadu, for instance, Stalin government gave 5,000 rupees to what about 1.3 crore women. We're talking about 40 lakh women in Assam. So freebies, how they play out, but in Assam, you could see that those things were playing out while the Congress was banking on a kind of social engineering, bringing 3 Gogos together, trying to get all the Ahoms together, who actually matter a lot in Upper Assam. So it's not a big surprise, although we have to again wait for the final result on the 4th. But Assam is not coming as a big shocker. I'm a bit surprised about Kerala too, because it's showing a very close contest. We're not expecting that because after the local body polls last December, where you saw the UDF sweeping, you were expecting the UDF to do much better. Here, exit polls are showing a much, much closer fight. So one exit poll is giving 60 to 68 to LDF and 70 to 78 to UDF. Now it's much closer. So again, we have to wait. Puducherry, of course, the reports from the ground, I did not go there, but the reports from the ground suggested that, well, the Rangaswamy government was actually having a free run. So that's about it for me. Actually, my other colleagues have been to the ground. Probably they should be making better observations.
Right. Moushumi, I would like to ask you about West Bengal. There's a lot of interest about West Bengal. Whatever, the pollsters who have indicated that, BJP may have an edge, as far as the results are concerned. Was this sentiment also, there on the ground? What did you find there?
See, on the ground, it was clear, after the first phase only, that is going to be a very close contest, unlike what had happened in the past. For instance, in 2021, if you see, or before that in 2016, it had always been, whichever party comes to power, in this case Trinamool, they have come to power with a thumping majority. And the BJP, for instance, in 2021 got just 77 seats. Trinamool got 215 out of the 290 seats that they contested. Even in fact, in 2011, when TMC trounced CPIM after 34 years, the TMC got 184 seats and the CPIM got just 40 seats. So it had always been the party which comes to power comes with a thumping majority. But this time around on the ground, it was evident that it's going to be a very very close fight between the Trinamool and the BJP. And in fact, the poll of polls shows that. Nobody is giving a very big number to the Trinamool or the BJP. It is close. So yeah, and on the ground this time around, there was a massive anti-incumbency against 15 years of Trinamool government. That was very evident. People were talking about issues like corruption, lack of jobs, lack of development. But having said that, the chief minister, Trinamool's Congress Supremo and West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee, her personal charisma is still intact. There is very little dent to that because people will tell you about what all issues are there. Corruption has increased, and no jobs. There are hardly any jobs there. But they will, in the same tone, they will also say that Mamata Banerjee is very popular, and we want Didi. Didi is very good, but the people who are with her, they are bad. As in, they indulge in corruption. So her personal charisma, continues to be, more or less the same. There is hardly any dent to it, despite the massive anti-incumbency.
Right. So before
I may add here, West Bengal becomes very difficult because, you have had 91 lakh deletions and exclusions. So that includes 27 lakh exclusions for this election, at least, because they could not.
The SIR exercise.
They could not actually appeal against the exclusions. So from every constituency, even if you're looking at just exclusions, you don't know if you're talking about 40,000 exclusions, 50,000 exclusions from one constituency. If you're talking about just these 27 lakhs, it can change the entire dynamics in any constituency. So we don't know, and both parties, in fact, even the BJP, usually you expect that because of SIR exercise, BJP has got a clear edge. But then some BJP leaders also told us that Mamata Banerjee, given the kind of cadre she has on the ground, the TMC also worked very aggressively in the field. So it's not just that the BJP was going to have a clean sweep when it comes to these 27 lakh exclusions. There are certain areas where, what the BJP calls their voters, even they have got excluded. For instance, Matuaj. So that's a big elephant in the room. We don't know which way it will turn, how it will impact, and that makes any prediction very difficult.
Right. Well, Moushumi, you raised an important point about Mamata Banerjee's appeal and charisma. And before I, ask you more about the leadership issue as far as the BJP is concerned, I would like to go to Deepika. Deepika, you were in Tamil Nadu, and a lot was being written and said about TVK. How do you see now that the predictions are there? Do you think that he is going to make a dent as far as the results are concerned, his party?
Neelam, most certainly. I think first things first, we've seen much of the surveys, most of them actually going in favor of the DMK. So once again, in the land of temples, it looks like the disbelievers are going to be professedly coming back to power again. So coming back to the mood question that you asked about TVK, the question that I always asked when I was on the ground was, if not for TVK, if not for Vijay's presence, who would the voters, who would his voters go to, his votes go to? So we're talking about the SCs, we're talking about the Christians, we're talking about the women and the youth. If not for TVK, all of these votes would have gone to the DMK. So that section of votes, or all of these segments of votes are going to TVK right now. I think he's going to be hurting the DMK for sure. But I think looking at the numbers that many of the pollsters have given the ADMK, he's definitely hurting them as well. So there are multiple segments and regions of Tamil Nadu. We're talking about the western region. I think TVK will hurt ADMK the most there. He's going to be the hero in Chennai. There are areas like Washam and Pet. There are areas in Chengalpattu, or it's called Chengalpet, Royapet. All of these areas are Vijay strongholds. So in all of these places, I think it's going to be Vijay all the way. And he had some very interesting campaigns, just about 2 days before the elections closed, the campaigning closed. He made an appeal to all the women that, if there were more than 2 people in their family that were willing to vote for his party, the women have to come out and put a rangoli of his election symbol, which is the whistle. You won't believe it. Nearly 45% of Tamil Nadu's households had all colors of whistles and sizes of whistles drawn outside their house. Now, sometimes it may seem like an exaggeration, but that's how much Vijay may or may not dent in Chennai.
Deepika, not able to hear you.
I'll say that again. So just 2 days before the campaign for the elections closed, Vijay made an appeal, a very fervent appeal to all the women voters that if there were more than 2 people from their household who were willing to vote for TVK, that they should step out of their homes and draw rangolis of his election symbol. So nearly 45% of Tamil Nadu's households had all colors and sizes of whistles drawn outside their homes. Now, that might not directly translate into 45% of the households voting for him, but I'm saying that that's the kind of support somebody like Vijay was.
Right. Well, Aneesa,
Neelam, if I may add here, just a couple of hours before we started this recording, I got a call from somebody who works with the AIDMK. And his analysis of what the TVK can do, he was basically saying that it will help the AIDMK. Now, again, it's open to our debate. But his interpretation was that, most of the minority votes, so when you talk about Muslim and Christian votes put together, the population put together, they constitute about 12% of the population in Tamil Nadu. Now you are saying, okay, don't treat it as 12%, make it like 17, 18%, because Christian Dalits actually count themselves as Hindu. They're seen as Hindus. So we're talking about 17, 18%, which has been the DMK's stronghold. Now, as per that AIDMK person's explanation or interpretation, the Vijay has been able to make a huge dent into that vote bank. Now, again, as I say, it's AIDMK interpretation. I mean, there's another way of looking at it. If there's such anti-incumbency in the Stalin, and Vijay ends up getting up to 20% or 24%, and exit polls are predicting. If that happens, I mean, he may take away a huge chunk of anti-incumbency votes also. So this Vijay phenomenon, how it will play out, we'll have to wait and see.
Right. Aneesa, I would like to ask you, because, you had also done a piece just before elections that all eyes were also on Pinarayi Vijayan, hoping to make a comeback yet again. But the poll of polls are indicating something else. How do you see what the exit polls are predicting?
So we will not say that it was not unexpected, because when we were reporting on the ground, one thing was there was anti-incumbency, but we weren't sure how much Congress will be able to kind of make use of it, because it, like when we were talking about Kerala election, there was also local body just months before the assembly polls. At that time, UDF had a really good edge and they had like a major sweep, but at the same time in the run up to the assembly polls, it had also started very late, so that the kind of momentum that the UDF had, and like a lot of infighting was also happening among the leaders, like MPs, whether MPs should contest or not, who will be the chief minister, so that which is even continuing now. So that kind of problems had affected the UDF campaign, and generally the kind of days to campaign in Kerala was less. It was barely a month. So that kind of even though there was anti-incumbency, LDF was able to like start campaign early and everything. So the way UDF was able to make use of the that sentiment in favor of them was like not so much in the run up to the polls. So when we were on the ground also, it was really close. Like we weren't able to get a sense of what exactly people were thinking, because some section of the people were happy with the LDF. Some changes had done, some welfare measures had done, infrastructure also, there was some changes in the state. So not everybody was against the LDF as such. And also there was a question of like who is the alternative. Like I'm not talking about this was the sentiment of like the entire state, but at the same time,
right,
this question was also raised. So it was really close. And when it comes to Pinarayi Vijayan also, it was like almost similar only, where some people had, there is also this thing about like the so-called arrogance of the CPIM or chief minister for that matter. So that was there, but at the same time people were also not able to have kind of who are we going to vote for, like who is going to be the chief minister, because leadership was an important thing. So yeah, so when we talk about Kerala, we'll not say that it was like it was really unexpected in that way, at least when we look at assembly poll campaign. And
right. Well, Sharan,
Just
BJP.
to add here, Neelam, look, I was listening to MA Baby just about an hour back, the CPIM General Secretary, and he was saying, forget about exit polls, our survey, because we get our feedback from the ground after election. And our survey shows that we are going to have 75 to 80 seats, and we will have a clear majority, the LDF. Just wanted to put it across here.
So, well, Sharan, BJP has been trying to make inroads in southern states, and Kerala has also been a focus area. You also reported from there. How do you see BJP? I mean, what issues it was raising? Do you think what is it that worked or did not work for them?
Neelam, the BJP was positioning itself as an alternative to the rotational form of, rotational system that was in place in Kerala, which of course in 2021 was broken. So the BJP, if you look at it, had consistently got, in the double-digit vote share, about 11+%, even in the last elections, 11.4%. That's a lot of votes, but for no seats. So they've had some support. So what they've tried to do this time is they've tried to use a few key focus areas. I'm sure, they would claim that they would win, they would come to power and everything. But realistically, they have, they claim that they had a chance in about 6 to 7 seats, within seats. And these are places where, some places like Manjeshwar, which is in the tail end of Kasargod, K. Surendran had lost by 89 votes 2 elections ago. Last election, he lost by about 1,800 votes. So it has been a close call. So what they tried to do this time, they got the entire Karnataka, BJP machinery. They were all in Kasargod and few other places, border areas of Kerala. So they had all of this machinery working, trying to mobilize the Hindu population on one side, and you have a lot of Kannada speaking population in the Kannur and Kasargod belt. It's also very close to Karnataka. Kannur and Kasargod are close to Karnataka. So they were trying to get all of these people to come back and vote if they, live in Mangalore and other places. And they also had some star campaigners who were also reaching out to the Christian community. They fielded Christian candidates, and the Christian community also has, they look at the BJP as somebody who can possibly deliver on development, but they are apprehensive of the BJP's core ideology. What if they bring this to Kerala? Now, these were some of the problems that the voters had, but the BJP they did not spare any opportunity to reach out to all sorts of people from all backgrounds. And the Suresh Gopi victory in 2024, followed by the local body elections in Thiruvananthapuram and a few other pockets, did sort of, give them a sense of little grit in how they can move forward, how they can push forward. Yes, there were a few issues that did challenge them mid-elections. One of them was the FCRA, sort of, added to the apprehension of the Christian community. But yeah, realistically, they were trying to look at about 5 to 6 seats, winning 5 to 6 seats. And they believe winning this, I mean, so far they won one semi-seat far. So they believe that winning 5 or 6 would then make them a credible alternative to the UDF and LDF, where people actually look at them as a third front, not as a sort of a, not a binary sort of a political system, but maybe 3 alternatives, and one of them being the NDA.
Sharan, let me ask you a question, a very hypothetical one, because we are looking at a close finish as far as exit polls are concerned. Think of a scenario where you have a hung assembly, and BJP has, say, as you say, if BJP gets 5, 6 seats, and BJP is in a position to become a kingmaker. What do you think can happen there?
See, very interestingly, we had Professor Gopakumar a few days ago, about a few weeks ago on our on the print speaking to us, and he made this very interesting. Irrespective of the result, even if there is a hung assembly, which has never happened in Kerala, there will be a government on May 4th, which means to say that parties, these small parties who get, a little small seats here and there, those will shift. Now, the BJP, if you spoke to a lot of people, including various groups there was this little rumor going on that the LDF is backing the BJP in a few seats to ensure that the UDF does not get the required number of seats. Well, this was whatever was said there, but the BJP may sit this one out, but a government will be formed on May 4th. Something all experts have told us, irrespective of what the results will be.
Right. Well, Moushumi, you were talking about Mamata Banerjee, her leadership, her appeal. This was also one of the major issues that BJP has been sort of grappling with, the leadership issue. There is Shubhendu Adhikari, but do you think on ground also this was something that people were talking about?
See, people, there on the ground, they were not talking about BJP leadership per se. Yeah, of course, they were saying that, 15 years of Trinamool government, so there's a need for change, there is a need for parivartan. But they were, and when you ask them specifically about, if BJP comes to power, who can be the chief minister? So then there's no answer. Yes, some of them did say that, Shubhendu Adhikari is there. He is the face of BJP, despite the fact that, the BJP didn't announce any chief minister face like it does with, in almost all the states during election, it doesn't announce a CM face. But even within the BJP, when you talk, they would say that there are 3-4 people. They name Shubhendu Adhikari. Though they didn't announce a CM face, but of course, within the party also, people, felt that Shubhendu Adhikari is, is kind of front runner in case of BJP coming to power.
Well, DK, we saw very aggressive campaigning from the BJP, whether it was Amit Shah first announcing that he will stay in the state for 15 days. And then after the phase 1, he did a press conference and then he said he will continue for more, coming days. He will continue to be in West Bengal. We saw Prime Minister doing a number of rallies, road shows, and then other central ministers, senior leaders from other BJP states, they were all pressed into action.
Look, Neelam, I spent a considerable amount of time talking to BJP leaders too during my stay there. I'm not very sure whether this contest is going to be that close, 140, 150 on both sides, that range. Because if you listen to the BJP leaders or the strategists who are actually formulating the entire plan, now they talk about they're banking on a massive anti-incumbency, massive. Then they say how this entire cut money culture is being resented, in the sense on the ground everybody is so upset. Then they talk about Hindu polarization, and they say I'm quoting somebody, not communalization, Hindu polarization. Now, you look at all these factors. If these factors work, there's no way that you're going to have a close one. Either these factors work or they don't work. If they don't work, on the other side, you have clear majority. If these work, then again, as I listened to a senior BJP strategist for a long time, then I said, well, if you're banking on these factors to work, you must be expecting a clean sweep. And he said, yes, you wait for the sweep. So BJP went for the kill, of course. Entire machinery was there, all top leaders were there. They put their heart out. Because they're convinced that these factors will work for them decisively. And that's why I'm a bit confused when I look at exit poll results. Either these factors work, that means BJP will come, or these factors won't work. That will again keep the BJP out of power. It has never been in power in West Bengal. Then again, coming to the face you're talking about, that is a big disadvantage of the BJP. It does not have a face. So I was moving around in North 24 Parganas, Nadia. Again, people, Shubhendu Adhikari as a possible CM candidate is not really very appealing to the voters as such. So that's a drawback. But then the BJP is not going for the face. It is banking on, you have seen they have not singled out Mamata Banerjee for attack, unlike last elections. Because they know they do not have a face, you do not make Mamata Banerjee the center of attack. So they avoid that. They have been questioning the governance because they are really convinced that anti-incumbency is going to bring her down. Let's see what happens on the 4th. But this kind of close finish is something I'm not very convinced about.
Right.
Either it will work or it will not work for the BJP.
Right. Moushumi, we've read a lot about how the RSS, has been working in West Bengal for over the past few years. We saw what happened in 2024 when, reports suggested that the RSS had not helped the BJP in the manner it would have. What about this time round in West Bengal? How active was the RSS?
RSS was very active on the ground, Neelam. I mean, in fact, they have been active on the ground for the last. They have been active all through. But I mean, in the run-up to the election, there have been, in places like North Bengal where I had traveled. I mean, they have been having their meetings since the last 1.5, 2 years on the ground, and they have taken stock of things. They are, they were, reaching out to the people from the tribal community there in the hills, in Alipur, in places in North Bengal like Alipurdwar, which has a large number of tribal population. So they have been very active. In fact, even in South Bengal, they have been very, very active all through. But again, they also mentioned that I won't say whether they are concerned or not, but they did mention the fact that, this SIR deletion, even they are confused which way is going to swing. Because if you see the SIR, the deletion data released by the Election Commission, it shows that Muslim-dominated area, Murshidabad, Malda, North Dinajpur, which has a huge chunk of Muslim population. So these places have have seen huge deletions. But on the same, in the same way, places like North 24 Parganas, which has a sizable number of Hindu voters, the Matua population, which have traditionally gone with the BJP. So the North 24 Parganas has also seen large number of deletion, and in fact there was a lot of anger among the Hindu voters there in North 24 Parganas where I had traveled, because these guys were saying that most of them are Hindu refugees from Bangladesh, and they had come here. They were promised citizenship. In 2019, the Citizenship Amendment Act was brought in, but till date, the CAA has moved at a snail pace. Not many have got their citizenship yet, and now they find their names deleted from the voter roll. So it's kind of a double whammy for them, and they were very angry that this is the party we have supported, and first so far our citizenship. So we have not got our citizenship, and on top of that, now our even names are deleted. So it's a question of their identity. What happens now? So there was a lot of anger among these people. So which way it's going to play out, nobody is sure.
Right. Before I wrap up, just one last few questions. Deepika, especially I wanted to know from you about Tamil Nadu. The for 131st Constitution Amendment Bill, which was defeated in the Lok Sabha. Do you think that also had an impact on, the fact that the delimitation issue was really talked about?
Neelam, thanks for asking this question, because until such time that the BJP introduced this amendment bill in the parliament, the DMK was a sinking ship. They were really clutching at the straws, and they did not know what to really say in the campaigns, because they were completely on the defensive. If Edapadi Palaniswamy would bring up an issue, say somewhere in southern Tamil Nadu, in Kanyakumari or Rameshwaram, by the afternoon there would be a counter from the DMK boss, Stalin himself, the chief minister himself, reacting to it. So it was more like a response and a reaction to what EPS was saying. But soon after the bill was tabled and it got defeated, it was almost like a breath of fresh air for Stalin and the entire DMK-led SPA alliance. So they made it an entire North versus South issue. Until such time, the Tamil identity, the Hindi imposition, NEET, or the governor, using strong arm tactics in Tamil Nadu all through the 5 years just didn't work. But the moment the delimitation bill was tabled in the parliament, I think the DMK found its mojo, and that kind of swept their entire campaigns and their narrative. So that's what this had. Neelam, right. If you permit me, I think we should add a word on Puducherry. I know yes. It's almost in the southeast, falling off India's map. but I think it's one of the most balmy places that one could ever go to in the Indian peninsula. And it's a place where everybody breathes in calm and breathes out chaos, except the Congress party. It's been breathing confusion and breathing out chaos. I think it's simply on this count that the SPA alliance would stand to lose, and the BJP, which is invested in Rangaswamy and the AI NRC, is predicted to be doing better. Of course, TVK is going to be, I think, throwing up a good number of surprises there in Puducherry as well. Because he just did 14 rallies in Tamil Nadu. I'm talking about actor Vijay. He just did 14 rallies in Tamil Nadu. The DMK gave him a very tough time by not allowing him to do more. He spent a lot of his time in Puducherry. So though he may get fewer seats because they're all of 30 in Puducherry, he may walk away with greater vote share.
Right. DK,
Deepika, you were talking about Puducherry. The one interesting thing about Puducherry is, it's a 30-member assembly there. So your majority mark is 16.
Yes.
But that's the problem. If say you are the Congress-led opposition, Congress, DMK coming together, if you get just about 16, you're not safe, because there are 3 nominated members in that assembly. And as we saw, the Supreme Court has already given a clear verdict on this. Those 3 nominated members, who would be nominated by the Ministry of Home Affairs from here, 3 BJP persons. They also have the voting rights. So if it's about 16 and 14, well, you can form the government the next day. But 2 days later, the center nominates 3 members and the entire thing changes.
Oh, yes.
So that's a very interesting plan on that.
Right. DK, one last question from my end. What exactly, if you look at all the elections in all the 4 states and 1 UT, what do they mean for the BJP and the Congress also, nationally?
Well, Congress has been having one defeat after another, starting from Haryana, where they were very, very confident. Maharashtra, again, part of MV, they were very confident. They lost that. Jharkhand was, of course, I'm talking about assembly elections, post-24 Lok Sabha elections. Jharkhand was Hemant Soren's win. Congress had hardly any role in this. Then you come to Delhi. Of course, Congress was hardly a figure here. So what I'm trying to say is, after 24, when the Congress actually thought that, well, we have got 99 seats, but we are the real victors. Now that swagger went right after that. In every assembly election, Congress has been actually snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. And they have managed to do that. They would need something to pump themselves up. If Assam does not happen, at least in Kerala, they need something, because then you are ruling just 3 states. And again, in 28, you'll have Karnataka elections. In 27, you'll have Himachal elections, where you are on a very slippery wicket already. Telangana, you still have some time. But point is, how do you basically project yourself as a credible alternative? If you keep losing one election after another, it's very difficult for the party to have that momentum. For the BJP, again, a great deal. If BJP manages to win West Bengal, of course, going by exit polls, we don't know. If BJP wins, then it's such a big boost, such a huge boost. After that, they'll be looking at the southern frontiers. Maybe in Tamil Nadu, they won't be able to make much impact this time, going by exit polls again. In Kerala, of course, the headwinds, all kinds of headwinds. But then you win Odisha. On your own, you have managed to defeat Naveen Patnaik there. Now, if you manage to defeat Mamata Banerjee, you can imagine the kind of momentum the BJP will have getting into next year. Again, you have crucial elections. The way the BJP will approach it, the kind of high punch it will find itself, if that happens. Even if West Bengal does not happen, thing is, having 3rd consecutive term in Assam, winning Puducherry, as exit polls are showing, will still basically keep its morale high.
Right. Well, thank you everyone for joining in. We don't have much time, but thank you for joining in and for this insightful discussion. But as I started this discussion with a health warning, I'm ending it with that exit polls have often got it wrong in the past. So we must wait for May 4th, and we will be live bringing you live updates, analysis, interviews with experts, politicians. So please do join in on our YouTube channel on 4th of May.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.